District Board meeting on May 8th, 2024. We're looking to keep the meeting before 8 o'clock. We're going to start right now at time is 7:02, and we'll bring in the meeting agenda in a moment. Tonight's open meeting is in accordance with New York State Public Open Meetings Law. We are live on Zoom from Reserve 4 in our Beaver Dam Lake Community Building. This meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the Orange County DPW website through the BDL YouTube account. Just a word about quorum here tonight. Board member roll call. Just so you understand, we have 5 members currently on the board. My name is Christopher Dunn. Larry Weinberg. Hello. He's vice chair. Jason Eunice. Hello. Secretary Fred Widman. Present. And we will talk about this gentleman next to me in a moment. With 5-member board, 3 members are currently required to meet quorum. So typically we have 7 slots where if we had 4, that would be our quorum number, but currently we're at 3, and as you can see, we have enough. Sitting beside me is Walter Bloss. We know him as, long 40-year board member, right? Yeah. 4-year board member, served different roles, vice chair, as the chair, and until the end of last year in 2023. Walter, do you want to talk about why you're here, or? We're very welcome. We're very happy that Walter Wally's here, by the way.
Yeah, looking at your audience, don't really, you have many people tied in right now? Yeah, here's the message I would give. Right now, I'm here in a volunteer capacity, because the board members are volunteers and they dedicate a lot of their time and personal life to making this lake what it is. I recognize the burden being placed on them. They went out for election last year and you have vacancies still there. Yeah. And that's a lot of work for you guys. So I encourage every one of these 820 household memberships inside this district to step up to the plate and volunteer. Basically, that's why I'm here just right now to try to relieve your burden. I offer to take over the lake treatment and be the primary interface to upon the lake connection and try to take something off your plate. I'm due to the volunteer capacity.
And fully welcome your support.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic gesture, and again, thank you.
We'll talk about rates then.
Yes, yeah. Just to kind of jump on that, all board members, we are volunteers. We get elected, and I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding that you're an elected official as if you're a legislative body. We're an advisory board, so it's something I think I like to say every few months, because there's been a lot of new people in the community and they want to know what's this board all about. And, we're just like you. So you could be sitting here if you really want to get involved. Currently our board is comprised of elected members with a 3-year term, and some are appointed until next election day. So Walter's here for board support. And the owl just winked at me. Does that mean anything, Jason?
No.
Okay. I've never seen that before. Just started ringing.
No,
All right. All right. Let's have the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think it's too close to
Was it picking up?
projection, and it's picking the fan, so it's not grabbing the camera on the phone.
Can we move this way?
No, because then that's gonna be all.
Even if I angle it? Sorry, everybody, technical adjustments, but
Yep,
so is it not, can we
I
push?
mean, it's picking up me right now.
What if we put it up there?
I know Larry talk.
Hello, everybody, how you doing?
Oh, this is the first.
Yeah, because I typically.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Maybe if Larry sits here, look. All right,
We'll figure it out.
maybe in the background, you can figure it out. Let's keep this rolling. All right. Is there a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, this night's, the motion's been adopted. All right, just a quick little note about administrative note. The last board meeting was held on March 13th, 2024. The April meeting was canceled due to lack of board quorum. Sometimes we can't make it, people get sick. The budget meeting will be next week. So the 2025 budget is scheduled for May 15th at 7 o'clock. You'll also get an email about that. All right, board communications, bdlboard@gmail.com is the only official means of communication with the board. The private group on social media, also known as the Residents of Beaver Dam Lake on Facebook, is not affiliated with our district board admins, our district residents, not board members. www.orangecounty.gov.com. If you hit the government tab and then hit Beaver Dam Lake, you will find our website on the Orange County site. That's not just the DPW site, it's also the Orange County government site. Some DPW interface mentions, contact with the DPW commissioner is constantly happening. The next in-person DPW meeting is slated for June. We don't have the date on that yet, but it will be in June. Moving on to safety, Reserve 1, Shore Drive sinkhole was a town of Cornwall issue, as well as possibly is it a county issue because the pipe was going under the road. It's Cornwall's pipe, but it was rotting out, it was sinking in the street, it was sinking on the reserve. So there was a bit of, communication before plans were made, and it was decided that it was the town's responsibility. They have put a longer pipe in. The pipe now comes further from the parking area to the lake itself, which I know Jason is licking his lips because I think the rain garden now is really in need because that pipe is straight into the lake, right? Funny, like Larry's over you look small now. He's like.
Still plays a big part.
He still plays a very big part, and he probably bench pressed all of us. All right, so, on March 11th, Town of Cornwall planned to begin excavation of sinkhole and replacement of stormwater runoff pipe. It was delayed by weather, also delayed by the fact that the asphalt plant had not been opened. It was a little bit chilly, so that was probably played into it. The work was completed, however, and paved on 4/29. The board has intentions to fill the remaining erosion scars on Reserve 1. So there's some areas that may or may not be sinkholes. The board has also talked to DPW Tom Lark, and we're looking into finding some fill even locally to take care of it temporarily. We are discussing purchasing soil for a few different projects for this summer anyway. So that will be taken care of shortly. No fishing. So jumping to, this is kind of a safety thing because it deals with the beach. There's no fishing anytime from Reserve 4 beach. Hooks and lines in the swim area jeopardize our beach permit. Also, for new residents, no boats ever are to land or launch anytime from Reserve 4. Once again, the beach. Board is, just a note about that, the board is also looking into a more secure means of keeping the water and the land separate. Right now, we kind of have a leaf fence that's been there, and it's in a state where we're going to replace it shortly. Tom Lark mentioned that we do actually have another black fence stored away. We thought we had the ugly orange one, but we're gonna put up the black one soon. But the board wants to look at some type of a galvanized sliding fence system or something that's a bit more slide it, close, lock it. It's just something we're discussing.
Okay. Is the signage outside, is that really clear about fishing on Reserve?
So at the moment, I know there's a sign that's still sitting that says not to approach. Don't recall if it mentions fishing. Does anybody?
No, it had stopped mentioning it, I'd say probably, in the winter. It used to say no fishing from Reserve 4, but that, was changed.
So, okay, so you're saying maybe it wasn't put back at the
It
end?
was not put back.
Okay, that's a good point. All right, thank you, Wally, for picking up on that. All right, so no fishing sign on the approach to number 4. All right, so please report all district town emergencies, of course, to 911. That was mentioned a couple meetings ago. Unless it's a non-emergency, you can't call the business line for the police, but please call 911, especially if fire need to respond. That's going to get them there quicker. Any comments? I'm trying to keep the pace up. Email on May 5th, 6th, so this is kind of covering something that Walter just mentioned before we had begun. Town of New Windsor Police Department Chief Stephen Valeri. We asked him for assistance patrolling the reserves for non-resident, non-stickered boats. So that has been an issue way before any of us were on the board. New residents, everyone needs a sticker. You'll notice that we have a sign out front of Reserve 4 mentioning the orange stickers that must be on your boat, must be on your car. Otherwise, law enforcement are going to check you out, and yes, you can be summoned and fined. So we approached via email, just waiting a response. Stephen Bedetti, the supervisor of New Windsor, also wanted to be notified and CC'd on that. So we're just kind of waiting for that response. We asked that they will be issuing violations for trespassing whenever possible. In the last 2 weeks, as weather has improved, dozens of non-resident, non-stickered boats, vehicles have used the lake and lake reserves without permission. Is there anybody here that wants to add to that and give it greater detail?
Just a little bit on it. Keep in mind, if you're a district resident, you pay an additional tax for being a district resident that entitles you to be able to use the lake and the reserves. People come in from the outside, they're not part of that, it's not fair to you, the actual, you're paying in your taxes. So if you actually see somebody on the reserve and you believe it's not a resident, call the police, have them deal with it. Conversely, though, if you are a resident, it's your obligation to make sure your car and your boat, like I said, are stickered. Because if you're caught on Reserve 8 and the police come, you can't prove it by having your own stickers. That's the only right way you should be there. You stand a chance you will get a fine for not having a sticker on your car.
Could you
Fred?
reemphasize that because of the number of unauthorized vehicles at both Reserve 2 and Reserve 8, that I would suggest if Cornwall has not also been notified, that none of this warning situation, I really think no sticker and a warrant is, and the summons isn't due. Nothing's gonna change until some summonses are issued.
You're absolutely right. There has to be a consequence for violating the rule. You can't just take a slap on the wrist anymore.
Right.
And that'll get the word out a lot faster. And the other thing we had is there was a truck that's been coming to the lake frequently on Reserve 8 with boat rock on top, puts his boat on the water, goes fishing every day. One of the residents that lives here actually followed the individual when he left here. He lives way out past Blooming Grove, obviously not a resident. And it's coming in from everywhere right now using the lake. We do gotta tighten it up.
Yeah, and we're gonna jump ahead at one point and talk about aquatic hitchhikers. And if that person is traveling, they're probably putting their boat in other bodies of water as well.
Absolutely.
What are they bringing in? What kind of organism is coming in, you know?
Mhm.
So, all good points. So yes, Cornwall, I think we should reach out to Cornwall too. I think we were looking to get a response from New Windsor first.
Sure.
Did see, I personally driving home today saw, New Windsor
I
police.
actually have seen a Cornwall patrol car pull into Reserve 2 and sit there for about 10 minutes. I think I've seen it twice. So I think an effort is being made.
Yeah, and just to reiterate kind of what Fred had mentioned, that we are asking the police department, to issue violations, not warnings, like summons, that's it. Okay, Orange County Local Law 8 of 1991, that's still our governing, law, states that district facilities are for the sole use and benefit of district residents. I think everybody knows that. In case you just moved here, you might not know, and you didn't realize that you moved into such a wonderful area. A reasonable number of accompanied guests, accompanied is the key word, shall be permitted to use the district facilities, and the facilities are all 8 reserves. Where we sit right now, it has to be a public event. It can never be a private event, just to mention that. Okay, dam update. So moving on, it's also kind of part of the safety, but is not authorized in any way for residents to approach the dam on foot. There is no public reserve parkland near the dam. All approaches are private. It is also not recommended to approach the dam by boat as well. There are buoys about 100 feet off the spillway. After a rain, there's a bit of pull there, especially if you're in a man-powered boat. So you don't want to get too close to the spillway.
Even with the battery on.
Yeah, and just before, and you know, Kevin Boyles is running a little bit late. Board member Boyle, the two of us went on his boat just to kind of free some debris you know, a week or two ago, and there's still a tree that is kind of it's kind of stuck there, and we couldn't get it out. We freed up a gangway that floated in, and so that was posted on Facebook. We still haven't had anybody that's claiming it yet.
Is Ryan notified about the one on the fuse gate?
No, that he has not been.
Maybe like it's putting additional weight, which can contribute to the counterbalance.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a tree. Spillway, all right, so, DPW's next inspection will not be until, this is something that we knew in the winter, their next inspection will not be until midsummer. According to Ryan McGuire, the deputy commissioner. A note about something that we all remember, and it seems like so long ago, but it's really not, the April 5th earthquake and then subsequent, tremors and aftershocks. This is just kind of reiterating the board member email. This is, it stated this, please know that the DPW Orange County already had an engineers en route to our dam within a few hours. So I think the earthquake was like in the 9 o'clock hour, 10 o'clock hour, maybe not, earlier.
9:20.
Not, seriously?
9:20.
9:20, I guess you remember this.
9:23.
I was in a gymnasium with about 150 fifth graders and I didn't know anything. The board was in contact with DPW Commissioner Ryan McGuire around noon. I'm happy to report that no damage had been observed. During today's inspection, if anything changes, this method of communication, email, will be the board's official channel of communication as it always is. Okay.
That's commendable to the DPW that they responded that quick.
Yeah, yes, by lunch. I was shocked.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Onto the swim beach update. Ropes and buoys are to be installed in the coming days. Typically, that's done by a volunteer crew. And they are in the works of doing that. Jason wanted to mention about the weather temperature, water temperature weather buoy. You may have noticed, swimmers, there was a buoy out dead center to the back of the swim area. That will be launched again. And so we'll start getting readouts again of the thermocline of the lake.
Yes.
Did I leave anything out?
Potential maintenance on it, because right now the sensors are only like 4 feet, not even 4 feet apart.
Yeah, they're like a meter and yeah, right,
Yeah.
they're small.
So we're not utilizing the full depth of scale, you're basically taking the temperature of the same area.
Mhm.
So some maintenance we need to be done, electric work, to be able to extend out the sensors.
And Wally could correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe in terms of our ropes, we actually can go out another 50 to 100 feet. Not that we're looking to do that, but I think we were discussing if we could bring, because now that we have the bathymetry past the swim area drops another 4 to 5 feet in that area. If we were to extend those sensors, we could then have like increments of 5 feet. So if we rewire the sensors, drop it in a deeper area, but it would require going further out into the lake. We would then have to move some of the swim ropes, so we were thinking about triangulating.
Okay. Why would you have to do the swim ropes? You could just locate the weather buoy out further.
Oh, just leave it out on its own?
If it had its own anchor there, yeah.
I think the idea, I mean, I think if we discussed that, I think maybe outside of the meeting, but I think we were looking to offer protection.
Okay.
Like rope protection, but if that point is moved, then.
Yeah.
Do we still have the sign indicating no boats beyond this point?
Yes, that's the sign that's currently on the beach that I think you mentioned does not have fishing on it. So there's that floating, right angled sign that sits on, faces out towards Scunamunk Mountain.
Just for logistics on the ropes and buoys, who's supporting that?
So at the moment, Tom Lark is going to be talking to our usual crew of neighbor Bart, Kevin Boyle, board member Boyle. He also was ready with his boat if needed, so it's just something that we know we need to get done.
So it's just a note then, if you get a lot of, it's awesome, some residents actually are volunteering and dedicating themselves to helping do those. Encourage the other eight.
Let me know, I'll help out. Let me know when it's gonna be done, I'll be glad to help.
No, I just mean the fact that Bart's actually helping, that's awesome. I'd encourage Bart and Kevin can get together so Kevin can see where it does and stuff.
Yeah, and if there's anybody here that views this meeting even at a later date, we're I think, a very approachable group of people, and this is not something where you should be intimidated in any way, and this is coming from somebody that was a resident for about 6 or 7 years before I even stepped foot in this building, and here we are. So, you'd be very surprised, if you had good thoughts, come talk to us, and you never know, you might find yourself sitting amongst us.
Especially if you have a particular set of skills.
Yeah.
Just there.
Skill sets are important.
We're very welcoming of that. All right, so ropes, buoys, water temperature. The Orange County Department of Health inspection of the beach to follow the completion of the beach setup. We're currently in the middle of a lifeguard search, so we're about to put that out on an email. But some of you have seen that some of the administrators of the Facebook group did relay a flyer that had been sent previously about 6 weeks ago to recently Cornwall, but about 6 weeks ago to Washingtonville High School, to the swim coaches, just looking to bring in the swimmers that are lifeguard trained. And also both coaches at each high school are lifeguard instructors. So that's just something that we're.
Yeah, we did get out ahead of that quite some time ago to try to put
Yeah.
in some lifeguards so we wouldn't have a big shortage. Unfortunately, we're reliant on the community to get the word out there because we're, 5 or 6 people can't tell everybody. Surely the email is a great tool to use, but again, you don't have to be a resident to be a lifeguard. If you are,
That's a good point.
a household resident, you have a young person coming back from college who may be interested, or somebody who's just looking to do this kind of a group venture out there, we'd love to have you. The point is, we can't open the beach without lifeguards. So we can do all the work we want, but if we don't get somebody or a few people to apply, we'll just be sitting here looking at it.
And keep on that, you wanna say something?
No,
Yeah, so, and keep in mind, our return lifeguards, just some are at college, so they're on the, so we may still get, like Tiffany, where are you? But, so we're waiting for some of those people to, answer.
that was my question. We've been in touch with the lifeguards last year.
Yeah, they're just not responding, they're in finals, I did go back to,
Yeah, okay, that's good. And that's the message out to the public then also.
yeah,
Don't get edgy about, is the beach open yet? It's May, it's warm.
yeah.
You need lifeguards, that's what I just said, and lifeguards are typically either high school or college. You don't get them until they finish their classes and are qualified, so.
We are also very, very generous with our rate of pay, so please,
It's competitive. Very
I'm not in the shape or the condition to do it, but, if I was a younger man, I might be somebody who would throw my hat in the ring. It's generous, and, it's a private lake community. You're not talking about buses rolling in where you've got hundreds and hundreds of people to deal with. It's a sweet spot.
Yeah. Hey, and when I retire from teaching, you might see me out there, so. All right, so the BDL, so now, we're free to post our positions publicly now that the current hiring requests are approved by the DPW. That was confirmed last week. These Orange County Orange County class specification employment forms can be found on the BDL Orange County website, which we mentioned at the beginning of the meeting. The two positions, of course, are seasonal lifeguard and seasonal senior lifeguard, which is a slight bump in pay. It's sort of the crew chief, and you have to have at least 2 years of experience beforehand. Washingtonville and Cornwall swim programs have already been provided. Jason, did you want to mention anything about, I think we're overkilling it, Jason, John Pickney, coach swim, I think we.
Yeah, they said they got lifeguard training, but they didn't do open water training. There's training site in West Point. I forget the name of the lake, but.
Oh, there's a lake that they train in, yeah.
But, yeah, the lake has dam issues and so there was no training at that location.
Yeah, so Walter, we had banted around the idea of, and we sent it to DPW to see legally what the response was, and they didn't say no, and they wanted to see what it would be if it was some type of a partnership with Cornwall, if they needed an open water training place. Could it be here and does it have to be when we're open, or if they show up at 9 o'clock, does that mean we have to open because we would need to pay a lifeguard anyway? So, from my understanding of being water safety instructor way back when, regardless of it being a swim practice, the facility is supposed to still have a independent lifeguard on duty. That's what I believe. I don't, so we're looking into that.
It's a fledgling idea.
Yeah.
So the instructor is actually qualified for water and lifeguard.
Right,
He's
they're
responsible for watching the.
Well, that's the thing, if they're instructing, they're not lifeguarding. It's considered two different things. And that's how it was when I was in Portland, even though we were being instructed.
Yep.
And with 3 aquatics instructors, there was still a lifeguard on duty in that pool.
I see, you couldn't take credit for that, so you need 2 people.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I don't think you can piggyback, but we might be wrong, but it could be a potential nice partnership. Considering Cornwall does use open water anyway. All right, so basic board communications, on May 1st, this is regarding, and I'm a little upset that we missed this, because we had mentioned this in the March meeting. The Stewart Air National Guard Base, it's the Restoration Advisory Board, known as RAB. This came out of the Superfund and the Lake Washington remediation, plan that was set forth by the Superfund and then DEC. It was the private company that built the facility. Had it for 2 years, I believe, and then it went to the jurisdiction of the DEC, and then it was taken apart. So across from Maroney's at Lake Washington, which is not in our watershed, but back in 1989, as we've chronicled many times, there was some fire retardant spray on the runway. I recall, Fred
1990.
talking about it.
1993.
Oh, 93, not 89, okay, but yes, so
FedEx.
Fred remembers also the time of day, 9:20.
That was the earthquake.
So it's a good callback. So that's regarding PFAS and PFOA, if I wasn't clear. An apology was issued. They actually emailed the board back and apologized for failing to notify the board because we were told in March that they would, we swear we'll let you know when the meeting is, we just don't know. And then it happened, on April 24th, so we missed it. And the meetings are every 3 months. So the next meeting will be July 24th. But there's a bit of a reprieve. There will be a YouTube video feed that they're gonna tell us about that we can then give you the link if you do wanna watch this. So this is, once again, it's an advisory board like us, but it has to do with Stewart Airport and the PFAS problem in our watershed. So, and it's kind of in its infancy, and they have a lot of maps and testing. And this harkens back to us mentioning that there's a question that come, I think in the fall, has Beaver Dam Lake been tested recently? We know the wells were tested 5-10 years ago, I don't know.
When
I don't
these
know.
things first came up, they going around testing almost everybody's well.
Mhm.
And it was just one section that was showed any kind of presence at all.
Yeah, I know they tested the community wells, and if you
Yeah.
wanted a private well, like I have a private well.
Always tested.
Yeah, and if you wanted it, I believe it was funded by the state.
Yes.
Or the county, probably the state, I'm not certain, but, beside the point.
Do they leave minutes for that every 24th meeting?
So, once again, that meeting is, so the meeting was April 24th at the Newburgh Armory at 5:30. The next meeting will be July 24th. July 24th at 5:30 PM at the Newburgh Armory. All right, so DPW communications with the board. DPW has not yet asked for the 2025 BDL budget yet, but regardless, the board is prepared to present it in 7 days. So we want to be done with that, so when they ask for it, we can send it off. We will have fulfilled our requirement as a board for budget. In recent years, they've requested the board approve the annual budget and submitted by May. We're doing pretty well. The entire board will meet publicly to finalize on May 15th at 7 PM. DPW dying tree removal / pruning. If the tree at Reserve 2 will not be pruned, it's been assessed to be too dangerous, as in it can cut these large limbs, it's gonna rain down and bust up and compromise the tree anyway. Board member Boyle has entered the room. We were just talking about the tree on Reserve 2. So we had requested this in March, to the DPW that the tree, that a tree crew from the DPW be sent out to both Reserves 2 and 6. There's another tree that's along the fence at 6. We've mentioned this many times. It's not on county property, it's on private property. But nonetheless, the branches have been raining down for years, and now at this point, I think it would have been helpful if we put up photos, but if anybody wants to go to Reserve 6 and see the tree, it's pretty much done falling apart. It's mostly a trunk and some large branches, but the tertiary branches are gone, but they've rained down, damaged the fence. So DPW, when they take the tree down, if that's indeed the course of action we go with, when they take the tree down at Reserve 2, so back at Reserve 2 in Cornwall, that tree is slated to be taken down. Stay tuned. We will get back to you and send out district communications. There will be signs that the tree is coming down. Boats must be moved, racks must be moved, which, hey, works out because we wanted to do that soon anyway, because we're gonna be doing the remediation project and improvements on the boat area anyway. Which has also been spoken about in the past, and we will highlight that in the, most likely the next June meeting, and there will be a board email once again about boat policy. That's something that's been on a back burner for the winter, and we're gonna start speaking about it, because we've been getting emails about, should I bring my boat back, which is very nice for you to ask that, considering so many didn't take their boat home for the winter. Which is something we were hoping that would happen so we can access the racks. We haven't been able to access the racks, but now that the tree is coming down, that's something that is going to need to happen. And at some point, if we can't get a response from a resident to move the boat, we're gonna have to move it as a board. Okay, which is also something that we have the authority to do, because it's on county land. Any comment about that? No. All right, so, the reply by Ryan McGuire the next day on the sixth, the deputy commissioner is that the recommendation is take the entire tree down, do the amount of trimming that is necessary. He said that this could compromise the tree anyway. DPW is now ready to send a tree crew after we remove the boat racks. I said that, sorry. Hey, resident email will be sent. I said that, I'm sorry. Privately owned tree, we spoke about that as well. The tree is considered to be too far gone. There's currently no part of the tree in Reserve 6 property, only fallen portions. And I'm mentioning this because DPW is offering to clean them up. So, the same day that they take down 2, they are also going to go over to 6 and clean up those large dying sections, which I think we're very grateful for.
Yeah, on Reserve 6, the board, we also pulled a sinkhole that was,
That's right.
part of the culvert that came up from the Lake Road, fix.
Along the guardrail.
Yeah, there was a sinkhole over there and, could be a serious, slip and fall incident for somebody. So we called the New Windsor Highway Department. They were quick to react and come out and, address the issue. So we appreciate that. May still be something we have to keep our eye on because it does continue to sink on a regular basis a little bit more. But, I think his name is Wayne. He did a fabulous job. So I continue to follow up with Wayne for the New Windsor Highway Department on that.
Okay, all right, part 6C, DPW communications, the board requested, and this has been going on since, the fall when Walter was chair. Requested the most recent budget be posted on the Beaver Dam Lake Orange County website. It wasn't at the time, but in the last 6 months, Board Secretary, Jason Eunice has been, reworking the budget and the past budget spreadsheet so that, and maybe you want to speak to this, I'm sorry, I keep talking.
Yes, I was able to consolidate, I believe it's all the budget sheets from 2019 up to the current budget we're working on. So once we complete this one, I will submit to the website and then.
Is that gonna be in like Excel form, or is it gonna be some type of other readout? Like, I'm just curious, or is it like a downloadable? Or we could do it either way.
We could do it either way. But if it's in Excel, it's gonna need to be locked.
Yeah, right, because then it becomes messy and crazy. Well, it's not gonna be.
It's gonna be a
It's not gonna be
lot.
our version, it's going to be a copy.
You can PDF the Excel version, that way it can't be altered.
Mhm.
So whatever you publish, make sure this is.
You could do the same thing with Excel. The whole workbook could be
Right.
locked and not a cell, can even be highlighted where you want
Good. Yeah, that's what I would do.
it.
Yeah.
Because the way I have it, I have a lot of things that are rolled up and compressed to make it.
So and on a side note, Jason's worked very hard with, the IT person at the county to make sure that the website is getting updated, looks better, flows better. Redundant margin texts are folded into other places, so, if you go to the website and notice that it's changing, this is the official site, the DPW site, it's Jason.
Yeah, they're gonna love me because I've already sent them like emails this month about multiple changes.
When I sent the bathymetry over, they were like, oh, okay, all right, well, we're doing these other things too, so. Okay, lake health treatments, C-SLAP, the 2024 volunteers are, of course, Fred Woodman and his wife Molly. Jason, and they're all gonna be aboard Kevin Boyle's boat. All right, Jason, the 2023 report for C-SLAP.
Yes, we will have the link up on the county website soon enough, but I guess here's some talking points. We are in a eutrophic lake, which means we have high levels of nutrients and productivity. These lakes may support an overgrowth of aquatic plants or algae. They typically are murky, warm, have low oxygen levels.
So question, are we at a eutrophic, this is for the listeners, eutrophic level now, right now? It's part of-
Right now,
We are always in a eutrophic.
Oh, come on, man.
what do you mean, come on, it's like, we've been that way for the last 20 years.
Well, I mean, if plants are growing at the bottom, right?
Yeah,
They're getting oxygen, right?
no, they don't need as much oxygen as animal life, as fish life.
I'm being the uneducated person to lead you guys, so, sorry, I'm a teacher, I'm just trying to get ready to say like.
It looks pretty clear down the
Yeah, yeah, I know, I'm not saying this because you may, now, if you're new to the lake or you've been here for 50 years. you'll know that in the spring, when it's cooler and it's cooler at night, the water's gonna look great in early, like in April and May. And we get spikes, all of a sudden you may see a bloom that's around for half a day. Out by my house, I see the milfoil coming up, so I'm sure if you've checked it out. So that's, the milfoil specifically is one of the things that are going to start dying when, James Gorman from Pond Lake Connection comes out, which Walter's gonna talk about in a little bit. Sorry, Jason, go
I
ahead.
think a lot of your question would be that because that's temperature related as well.
Yes,
So when it's cold out, plants don't like to grow. When it gets warmer out, more things like to grow, but different plants and algae like different temperatures. So algae that likes it really warm and causes the habs to happen, likes it warmer. And they also subsequently take the oxygen out of the water as well, making another feedback to the eutrophic problem.
so it sounds like a cycle.
Yes, and you will hear that in a lot of my other comments, that the lake hasn't changed in the last 15 years from when we did this test.
Alright, so you mentioned calcium on here, how's that relevant?
Calcium is from the weathering of soils and rocks, and affects pH, which makes the water more alkaline, which our lake is an alkaline, so the calcium can get pulled out from mussels and crustaceans for their shell. Sounds like a good thing because they filter the waters, but those zebra mussels that are an issue, they also work well at the level of calcium levels that we're at. So I don't think we have.
Yeah, have you seen this? Cause I feel like in Beaver Dam Lake 2.0, 3.0, now that the lake's back, the mussels are kind of gone.
We have never had a zebra mussel issue.
We had quagmire, but we never had an issue really with mussels, right?
No, and we've had the mystery snail, we've never had a mussel problem.
Chinese mystery snake.
However, there's nothing stopping somebody from bringing something in on another boat from another lake, and all of a sudden we have problems.
Yes. Alright, so nitrogen, chloride,
Nitrogen, no change. Chloride, so no change, so it was high, so this is from road salts. So I'm screaming into the hall. Rain gardens keeps the salt from getting into the lake.
yes, and Beaver Dam Lake, if you've ever noticed in a large rain, not only do we have tributaries, but there's a lot of these like seasonal or event tributaries that'll just pop up. And they may be pipes that you don't even realize. There's one very large one at the bottom of the valley. And you most probably know about that because I even, before I was a resident, I know that area used to be clean. It was clear, now it's kind of wooded. So people easily could walk down, you could hear that pipe rushing. But all along Lake Road, and I'm pointing as if I'm facing it all the way to the north, there are other smaller rain culvert pipes. So anything that's on the side of the road, oil, gas, tar, things like that, those are all mixing in, they're gonna be coming into the lake too.
This
So,
is one of the problems when New Windsor, when Cornwall, in their infinite wisdom, decide to put another layer of oil and gravel on the road.
annually, when they were doing the gravel,
I wouldn't say annually, but every couple of years, and I'm waiting for them to do it again, and half of the oil ends up in the lake.
I think
Well,
we're
that-
gonna stop doing
the
this.
sedimentation.
We had a statement from one of our councilmen, that lives on the lake, that he was gonna try to get the place paved properly, but I even inquired to him about it, never got a response saying that, whether it's gonna be done or not, because right now, Shore Road is a tank trap.
Right, and that was a puzzling thing for me, seeing so much gravel going into the storm drains. And then since being a board member, I've had a couple conversations with John and Gito, at Caesar's Lane, New Windsor filtration plant, the sewer plant. And that just seemed like a no-brainer, like why annually we just keep snow plows and pushing gravel, they fall into then they back up and then they flood Jason's driveway. And that happens.
Flooding the drive is a whole other thing, but from just the gravel standpoint, that seasonal streak that goes along my property, I have to take out 6 wheelbarrows of gravel just from my seasonal stream. That's 6 wheelbarrows just from mine that would have ended up in the lake. That are going on in just about every other inlet that we have.
What's it?
affecting the bathymetry of the lake, making it shallow. Which affects the temperature and then makes the situation also worse.
What's AJ's perspective on the runoff?
So that's coming up, so when we see AJ next year, in June, AJ's coming.
Mhm.
AJ's actually, I've already mentioned that, so AJ's gonna come and do a presentation, kind of finishing up the testing and everything. So, yeah, he's gonna explain that significance, in June.
Excellent.
All right, where are we? Treatments, okay, let's move this along. Chemical, all right, so all New York, state DEC chemical treatment permits have been issued by the DEC. For the pond and lake connection 2024, I just wanted to mention that, so we're gonna have a herbicide treatment, Thursday, versus tomorrow. And I think I'm gonna let Wally talk about this, all right? Pond and lake connection for, treatment, do you wanna, do you want to mention this, you want me to run through this and then?
I'll run through, but this is the same thing.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Whatever this is gonna cover yours.
Yeah, okay,
Okay, the,
just to get two things done.
again, I'm Bolton Plus, operating a volunteer capacity to help the board just to relieve some of the burden, non-official board members, but I'm helping run with the lake treatments right now at this time. I did a preseason update with James Gordon Pond Lake Connection back in April, just to get the bigger game plan where us we're going. I can validate it that the 2024 service contract has been renewed now through the Orange County DPWs, the contract's in place with them. All the DEC permits have been formally issued, so we're good with that. The budget for 2024 is set and approved, and 2024 budget is $52,250. That includes one additional algaecide full lake treatment of $7,300 in case we need this.
And that's an in case, that doesn't mean we are going.
That's correct, we were needed, it's just there in case you need it. Treatment plan for this year will be the same as last year, with the exception is that one additional algaecide treatment budget if we need it. Pond and Lake Connection conducted a site visit on April 22nd, which they typically do. They always come out and put their eyes and ears on everything, see what's going on, see what changed. And at the time when they came out in April, it was minimal vegetation growth. And that was due to the lower temperatures, which everybody talked about earlier. It was only averaging about 55 degrees on the surface. Since weather has turned down, the vegetation has been starting to sprout, especially up towards the boat launch area. It's actually up to the surface now, down at the boat launch, it's about 5-6 feet from the bottom up. And Pond and Lake Connection is actually set to be here tomorrow to do a treatment.
This is an algaecide treatment, right?
No, herbicide.
Plants, we always do herb, sorry.
Well, because we got a tremendous amount of filamentous algae that's growing around
They
there.
assess that and spot treat as anything else, so
Spot treatment, okay.
you never do a full lake herbicide. They're gonna be a lot more aggressive this year. It's a lesson learned from last year. We kind of went weak on the first early treatment of the vegetation, and they had to come back and retreat last year in 2023, so they'll be more proactive in going after the vegetation more heavily this year. The chemicals they're gonna use are exactly that were used last year. There's absolutely no formal notification required by federal, state, or local ordinances that requires any type of notification to anybody, comma. We do it, the board does it as a courtesy. It's not required, you know, but the same chemical has been used in the past, which I'll talk about. Water surface temperature, this week is averaging about 60. And Jason, I spoke to briefly, James, if it's possible to get up and go, he'd like to have access to our weather station, just to be able to see the water temperatures.
It's posted in.
Yeah, we just gotta get the DPW
Okay.
site, because it's right on the page.
It's not put out there yet, so when we
Yeah,
get it set up.
no, it's, well, it needs to be hooked up, but the page is live.
Yeah, basically, like, we'll have, once we get it up, we go, we'll send it to them. Just let me know and I'll interface with them and get that done. We talked about, is there anything new for 2024 that did not exist last year that we could benefit from this year? And the answer is no, nothing new is approved for New York State. POSLOC is on the drawing board, but it's not yet approved by the DEC for New York State. So
Or Nor Alum, right?
correct, there's nothing new for this year, so we're
So we're
pretty much
stuck.
following the course that we've been following
We're
for
stuck.
many, many years. There was a concern noted that Reserve 5 has inaccessibility onto it. James said it's not gonna do anything, it's gonna take a look and get feedback. If we want him to engage into that, we can request him to help deal with that.
Okay. In a chemical
Correct.
solution.
Well, you could do either one.
Or, yeah,
Chemical or mechanical.
mechanical.
We actually have budgeted of $10,000 for general service if you need that. Just keep that in your pocket. So James will evaluate that. On the lake connection we'll fly the first treatment tomorrow, May 9th, using an airboat. Chris and the board had sent out a notification to all residents 2 days ago, I think it was.
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Okay. The chemical will be applied tomorrow, it's not tea, and based on the kind like we talked about, there's no precautions other than to avoid the area during the application, and the communication has been sent. Any comments? That completes it.
Thank you so much. Talk about a special set of skills, okay? So thank you so much, Walt. And if you're curious as to why the fan boat has a gas motor, because you're like, no gas motors on Beaver Dam Lake. There are exceptions, EMS, fire, rescue, and this is also not a prop in the water, which I believe is the strength of using a fan boat, that there's no prop to leak into the water, it's a fan-based engine on the deck. So yes, it's a gas-powered fan boat, but residents will not use, are not allowed to use gas motors on our lake. All right, lake testing. So GEI has been our company, by contract, since July 15th. Their contract will expire on the 14th of 2024, July 14th, I'm sorry, July 14th of 2024. As we've spoken about in several meetings, the work completed so far was sampling, tributary sampling, testing phosphorus, nitrogen, and E. coli, on 8/23, 9/24, and 11/7. Jason is gonna bring up some shared documents just so you get an idea of what the results look like in a moment. So the results presented, at the December 23rd meeting, which we've spoken about in text, this is what they look like on the map. So there are plots and you'll see green, yellow, and red. The levels, obviously sort of speak for themselves. Is it like the next one? So I can speak about that. That comes up and then, so they're loading. So what you're seeing on the screen now, if you see it, that's actually the old bathymetry. Do you want to keep going or?
Tell me where you need to be.
Go, so keep going to the, so past the bathymetry, one more.
We're going to total phosphorus.
There we go, total phosphorus. Okay, so that is a Google Earth image, Beaver Dam Lakes, middle, bottom. You can see that BDLW2, that's the Twins Pond outlet and tributary to the southeastern corner of our lake that goes under the private street. Waterview Terrace, there's a stream that goes under Waterview Terrace. You can see that it's in the red. Can we see that value? I think it's BDL2 and it's at 96. That's so the phosphorus levels and they're significant because anything that's over 20 micrograms is already considered a problem. Some of us may not realize, but the DEC labeled our lake on the what was the term, Fred? We're on a impaired
Impaired, yes.
impaired list in New York State for high
I
phosphorus.
think there's impaired and there's seriously impaired, which we have been on for quite some time.
Right, which is one of the reasons why we're ready to fight tooth and nail that nothing else comes into this lake. Walter?
That point you're talking about.
Yeah.
Number two, what is the source of that? Is that the farm across the road from 94?
Yeah, so we brushed upon this, I think maybe in the October meeting. So there's a equestrian or a horse farm that's on the southern side of 94, which is in our watershed because that portion of the lake actually flows back. I don't know if it worked, actually, if I just do this and I think I can point, right? Does the owl pick me up? The owl.
I'm sure.
Oh, so it's a complete share. Okay, so yeah. So it's, sorry, everybody. It's a complete share, so we can't see.
I mean, I can turn off screen sharing.
It's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So that point, that stream flows from Twins Pond, which is the adjacent body of water that was scheduled to be the effluent receiver for Cornwall Social. And if we remember, over a year ago, that was a big bone of contention as to what are they going to discharge to it? Is it going to be treated? Is it going to be, of course, not treated? Or so the owners decided to go with above ground tank storage for now to wait out until a temporary storage that was supposed to be pumped out every 2 days or so until they someday can get the hookup when the capacity is there for New Windsor sewer. So to answer your question again, sorry, the source is most likely horse manure. Which had been, because if it's in the lagoon that's across 94 at this horse farm, that flows north directly under 94 into, now, of course, this is not proven, but it seems to look like that, and that will certainly be a target area. You're gonna see a lot more, you're gonna see more plots in the 2024 campaign of testing.
Okay, then on that, obviously private property, would it be, is there a way we could actually pinpoint to say it is, and then if it is, can we
Well-
correct it, can we redirect the flow away from the lake?
And that's, that's for the professionals, I think, because I think it's naturally flowing.
Then we make it so it's somebody else's problem.
Like, we could test it because we could use a pole and it's off of 94, so you're standing on the culvert, off the bridge, where it goes under on 94. We could dip in and test that, so if those numbers are at 2,500, which, just so you understand, beaches must be closed at 1,000 and over 235, parts per million is a dangerous level, a health risk. So this was putting numbers that were 20 times what a human would consider safe. And so if you look to the north, this testing was from, which one is this? This is
November.
This is the November one, so this was our third. There finally were some middle of the road yellow plots, but if we go earlier to the next map, you'll see that they're all red. So Jason just popped it to the next one, and all those numbers are now over 100 every single.
There's those peak rain events too that we had.
Correct, and that's one of the things that AJ Reyes at GEI wants to test. He wants to get specific and test 24 hours after a rain event, 72 hours after a rain event, get dry data, get wet data, and really start to build a case for what's coming into the lake in all directions. All right, so being that we've kind of covered that part, so that these are the visual results of that. So additional evidence will be required, this is according to AJ at GEI, in order to compel the Department of Health, DEC, and the Department of Water within the DEC and local governments to act on the high concentration sources of E. coli found, and this is E. coli, in the following sources within our watershed.
Well, please, I think that's John sharing.
So I think we got, but that, no, thank
We're
you,
good.
thank you so much. I sent Jason up further files. I don't think we need to beat a dead horse. But we can publish these maps also to residents if we like. I think we can put them in PDF form and maybe send them out. Does that sound?
We can put them on the county, all the lake history testing.
That's a better idea.
That's a better idea.
Yeah, the testing is great, you're gonna actually get really good data, good results, question is, what do you do with it?
What do you do with it? So
AJ is the guy.
AJ's the guy, so GEI is going to present at our next board meeting in June, and not only is he gonna summarize, but he's gonna kind of give the significant reasons as to why we should continue and expand. And this was the exact information that Commissioner Denega wanted to hear, because he was poised to offer another year of commissioner discretion funds to do another year contract. And he seemed to be in the mindset of if you're substantiating your data or need for more data, he was still on board. Because I guess the potential for remediation is pretty significant. We need several years of data, and now that there are these large DEC grants out there, that's why we were calling for grant writers. We'll put out that call again. So if there's any legal minds, paralegals, people that have written grants before, that's something you can reach out to the board, because we're going to need that help at some point. There are large DEC grants that can pay for a lot of these projects. You're laughing.
To be discussed later.
Okay.
That's bad experience.
Because I think what you're gonna find out is that, like the new facility at the end of 94 that we proposed to go in there, we put a wastewater treatment system that would have not been beneficial to our lake. Looking around the trailer park up in the hill, if you go in and look at the new town of Windsor meeting minutes, they have to demonstrate that that place is actually take a look at it, make sure they're not violating anything. They don't look at enough detail, and I think AJ and whoever's gonna be involved, you need to go in and delve in to make sure, you actually have to make sure that the facility is being maintained, that people are qualified. Cause I think that's one of your big problems right now.
Yeah, and AJ had spoken, privately to me and said that was something he wanted to present, because he's saying that Brittany Terrace's speeds parameters, he thinks are not in the best interest of any freshwater lake, let alone our freshwater lake. The allowances that are documented for phosphorus just on the speedies permit are not okay in to his professional opinion, so. What Wally's talking about is like, yeah, maybe an inspection is due and nobody's really checking this facility, when's the last it's been checked? So, and we have presented at these board meetings, if you go back and look, there have been high numbers coming out of the Brittany Terrace discharges on all fronts, E. coli, nitrogen and phosphorus, which.
Right.
Yeah. And so this kind of makes the Brittany, the Little Britain School investigation kind of a small, issue. It's an issue, but it's a tributary that flows past the leach field and they're pumping you gotta get going, don't you?
Sure.
All right, so I think we think we're good. Anybody have any questions about Lake Test and GI? So AJ's gonna be here in June. All right. DPW grant invasive species, Fred, grant will expire on July 9th. I say Fred, it's not just Fred, it's the board, but Fred has been taking this on, head on. And, the board members will continue on taking on all tasks to fulfill the grant on time, even if they say they feel that we haven't said it prior meetings about.
Just the fact that, I'm finally getting some action from the DPW, where I've sent, the paperwork required by the DEC for the grant, reimbursement, as well as a spreadsheet of all treatments that have taken place at Beaver Dam Lake since, 2016.
Yeah, they went back for 2016.
Apparently, we're allowed to go back to 2016, which really surprised me.
Go back as far as you can.
Okay, as far as I can. So that all information has all been sent to Melinda, who then referred me to a Tammy, who is now on vacation this week. And she will be discussing with me next, when she gets back. I've requested a sit down with her to really help fill out those forms.
I'd recommend asking for 2-week updates, because you're running out of time very quickly.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Ask them to update your plan status.
Yeah, okay. But I want to sit down with her, because I've looked at the forms.
We've had promises since last September. You did a great job last June, last July.
Yeah.
And since then, you gave information, nothing, in my opinion, nothing got processed.
This is why I'm gonna be following up with her when she's back from vacation. Just, I gotta have a sit down with her to help me fill out those forms.
That's great. And when somebody's on vacation, you can't shut down business because somebody's on vacation. Somebody else has to step up and do your job. So bubble it up.
See, it helps when we have more people here. Having Walter here is just invaluable. Okay, do you need to go?
I do.
All right, so Walter, if he may leave when he wants, external sewer municipality updates, we're gonna throw it to Kevin Boyle.
Please report all sewer issues to your town sewer department. New Windsor, the number is 845-561-2550. Once again, New Windsor is 845-561-2550. And Cornwall is 845-534-7994. Once again, Cornwall is 845-534-7994. Residents can call the sewer department to inspect for leaks, repair problems that exist within town lines, and make suggestions, and they can make suggestions for corrective action if problem originates inside the homeowner's line.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was interesting actually that, in New Windsor themselves paid for, and we spoke about this, I think, last summer, that they have that robot scope that can go in and travel through the sewers themselves and see if there were a problem. So there was, I believe, a state grant that was awarded to New Windsor last year, and this was, I think Supervisor Myers told me this, I wanna say. And maybe also Supervisor Bedetti, that, there's an amount of money that they were taking each year and doing different parts of the town. Beaver Dam Lake, with its old pipes that are on the hills, and we've had histories of overflows and leaks. So they were checking out the pipes themselves. So the municipality has that robotic ability. So if there is ever a backflow into your home, you call the sewer department,
Well, there was a team that was out on Lakeside today, doing measurements, and they were down looking at some of the sewer caps on.
Did they pull the tops? Were they looking at
I
it?
didn't really get into their business that much, but I did see, and I was witness to a team of 3 people that were from the sewer department on Lakeside, looking at some of the properties that are downhill going towards the lake. And I know there's been some issues with some, in the 30 to 50 range as far as the addresses go. So, I wasn't able to really to have any dialogue with them, but that's what they were there for. So there is some action going on, at least from the sewer department.
Yeah, and they're available 24 hours a day. So if you ever look at the pump stations, there's the numbers that Kevin mentioned. If you call, they have to come out immediately. If you ever see a red light blinking on any of the pump stations, call that number, because there is a backup in the blockage in the line somewhere. All right. Section 11, reserves in Orange County property use. Now, this is a very important one because it's the spring. I almost wish Walter was still here, but what Walter has been speaking about, and we've spoken about, misuse at Reserve 8 and Reserve 2 and any other reserve. This is important. So when it comes to the results of misuse, here they are. Non-residents are not permitted. Please report trespassers and vandalism to local police departments. New Windsor Supervisor Steve Bedetti advised the BDL board to contact the New Windsor Chief of Police to establish possible increased patrols. Walter had mentioned that on reserves 2 and 8. All guests must be accompanied by a resident. You must accompany your guests, because people have many times said, "Oh, I know that person down there," or they say, "Oh," and maybe they moved away 20 years ago, which between you and I and this camera, is like, that's fine, but there are way too many vehicles where we don't know who these people are and we can't vet them. And then there's broken bottles, there's prophylactics, I'll say that, left, they're like in the middle of the night. So we're also looking at closing the reserves possibly in summer hours, but that's been volleyed in any board that I remember. Is it worth it? Do we put a rope up? Do we put a gate up? Do we do nothing? Do we just try to get a security guard? All of these things that, and my eyes and ears have heard and seen, spoken about in just the last couple of years. So that is always something that we're keeping our head up about. But right now, we really want to urge the police force to see if they can help us out. So all guests must be accompanied by a resident attempting to transfer a registration sticker or result in the loss of parking and voting privileges at all reserves. Violators will be issued a summons and subsequent fines by law enforcement. Once again, gas-powered motors are not permitted on BDL at any time. The exception is made for EMS, fire, and police. All anglers, which is fishermen, must possess a valid New York State fishing license. There's no such thing as this is a private lake and I'm allowed to fish here. That is not a thing in the state of New York, and it's not a thing in most states in this country. You cannot own the commodity, so to speak, of fishing and water and fishing and waterways.
That's 14 and above.
Yes, thank you, Kevin. That's right, adults. So that if you're a child, you don't need a.
14 or 16?
It used to be, it's funny, because I remember it used to be 12, but maybe it's,
I think it's 16 now.
maybe it's 16 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because back when we used to be able to purchase a lifetime permit for $50, I think it's now about 400, which is still worth it if you're the middle age.
For the fishing permits, we have links to it in our email.
Yes, yeah, so Jason's mentioning all those hyper blue links at the bottom of our email, that'll help you find fishing licenses, so you must also get that. And outside of the police coming, DEC conservation officers can also ticket you just the same as the police. So you must be able to produce your fishing license. You can't just say, I know the guy that lives down the street on Maple, I'm good to fish here. That's not a thing. Possible, all right, so sticker, possible live in-person, somebody explain this, please. Possible live in-person sticker registration event at community building.
So Fred has always been the leader when, so as long as I've been on the board regarding permits and stickers. And, Fred and I have teamed up together with Molly and we've held some in-person sticker. You come with your documents, you come with, your forms, and we will immediately hand you out the stickers. We are tossing around, a potential live event. The question is whether we run that live event after we get new stickers and start the process, or whether we continue to issue the, expired orange stickers and still consider them to be valid, so.
No.
So the idea is that, as a courtesy, we have done a number of events live, where you can show up for an hour and a half in the evening, bring your documents, and leave with stickers that day. And, again, if there's a need for that, which there obviously is, well, we can toss that around and put up a hard date at some point.
Yeah, and later this summer, I think, one of the agenda items will probably be stickers, because we are looking to update them and issue new ones to everybody with current years.
Since this is a board meeting, my suggestion is if we look into it, that they not be dated.
So, why is that? Why do you think? Just so everybody understands.
Let's say we have to decide on a blue or green sticker.
Right.
If you have it, it's a valid sticker. To say it expires in the year 2028, there's no sense to that. If you have it, it's valid. If you don't have it, you need it.
So my one thought about that is if we're asking police to respond, and let's say it's 5 years from now, are they gonna be able to know that's a valid sticker?
I don't see why not. If they're notified that the stickers are now blue, everyone needs a blue sticker.
But what, trying to be devil's advocate, so they move away. And I know that's not a whole lot of people.
Meaning
They're
what?
down in South Carolina, how often are they gonna come back? I'm not trying to be a.
Well, you could still say that with the current
Yeah.
stickers.
That's right.
Yeah, so maybe no date.
Yeah, without the dating, it takes away the additional pressure on the volunteer board to continue to have this constant upkeep. And by the way, we don't have postage in to mail out new stickers to people, and we haven't purchased the new stickers, and all that's gonna continue to compile additional taxpayer dollars. But the idea is that it's all by volunteer, so to get out right now, we probably have 800 stickers out, who knows how many we have, but just to replace those and get compliance on that, that's a big enough of a task. But then to think that, all right, we got it done, we invested 500 labor hours in getting it done, and now these are all gonna expire in a couple of years. Look, if you have a sticker on your car, in my opinion, I believe that's enough in order to say, I belong here. If somebody moves away, certainly we would hope out of respect that they would take the sticker off their car and they wouldn't want it there.
Or if they sell the car.
How long do these stickers last anyway?
Right, they don't last forever, so.
So there is an end date to the sticker's life.
I would agree with no
Vinyl
date.
stickers last 7 years.
Yeah, I would agree with no date, and I would agree with,
How to make heaven land.
again, it's an arduous task, there's a lot of effort and energy. Fred comes in here and spends hours on the computer entering stuff into the database so that we can research them.
And I hate to tell you how many people have reapplied because they didn't, after 20 times being told orange stickers are still good
Mhm.
for a new sticker.
Right.
And
Oh, so you were getting like false submittals?
oh,
Like you just said.
By
you don't
the
need to do
tons.
this? Oh, I see.
and I have to reply back to them via email, your sticker is still valid.
Right.
So it would reduce confusion.
Yeah,
So that's, all right, those are good, those are really good points. So everybody would still have a number.
That,
I guess if your sticker gets destroyed, technically.
we've
we
kicked
can
the
maybe-
can 4 years on replacing the stickers.
Mhm.
What's gonna stop it from doing it again?
Sure, yeah. Sure. I think that's something we'll revisit in the summer, right? I mean, we're still good on these stickers until the end of this year anyway.
Yeah.
So it's gonna take time to get the stickers done. Well, it'll
That's a
be for
discussion for the
2000.
sticker meeting.
So, yeah, so maybe we can have a vote on the color.
oh, please.
All right, you get the pick, I
I
think.
want green stripes with horizontal lines going down.
Sounds good. All right, goose management, sorry, didn't get to that. I just wanna mention this, non-stickered registration, they're not permitted under reserves, we said. the idea of the stickers also is that it validates, it vets who's here. And the story that Walter was talking about, where a resident followed a trailer being pulled down the road with a boat going to another town. That boat is probably going to other bodies of water. So New York State's had a campaign, and many states all over the country have had a campaign about aquatic hitchhikers. So if you're putting in the Hudson River, then you're bringing in all kinds of different things. So that's why there are boat wash stations in some lakes. We don't have a boat wash station, and that's one of the reasons why your boat, it's good that it stays here and it's left actually in the sun. But if it's going in like Orange Lake, it's going in Chadwick Lake, it's going in any of the lakes in Monroe, it's going in lakes upstate. That's not good, especially if they do have a muscle problem or something like that, because that can introduce those organisms to our lake. So, anyway, and all the various plants that I have written here that I'm not gonna mention. All right. USDA Geese Management Program.
All right, so, the goal of this program is to manage the Canadian geese that are on the lake. And they are an invasive species, they're a hazard to the health and safety of the lake and the water quality of the residents, the vehicles, and also aircraft. So this program began in 2012 and it costs absolutely zero to our taxpayers or to the district. So it's something that we really do capitalize on. I am in constant communication as a member of the board with the USDA regarding goose population, regarding things that are very relevant for them to know. They did mention to us that they really appreciate that we are probably their most easy to contact and compliant member of their lake committee. So they were very, very happy with us. And we've managed to reduce the population of these Canadian geese to multiple hundreds of geese down into the 40 to 50 geese range. Now, it's a fluid number, obviously, as they are constantly out there and, laying eggs and having, the goslings go around. And currently, we've seen a number of hatches. So I was in communication with Tyler from the USDA regarding activity close to my house and that I've seen around the lake. And they have changed their approach for this year because they've been so successful in keeping our population down. Historically, they would come out and they would go and oil eggs or addle eggs and prevent them from hatching. They don't feel that that is the proper way to go about it this year. Okay, this year, the focus will be on roundup of the geese because we're in such a good place. And when the USDA comes around and does something, the geese are very smart and observant and they know. And therefore, when they have a sense that they're going to be addressed or somebody's going to come for them, they're on guard and they can get away and hide. So we're looking at a little bit of a surprise this year. Tyler from the USDA called me yesterday, left me a message, and he said that they will be here within the next 2 weeks to do a survey in order to start the roundup process. So that is actively being pursued. So that's all we have on the geese. We do always address not to touch the muted swans, as a number of people are very fond of those birds. And people do have to give the USDA actual permission by way of form to access their own lands, private lands. I certainly have done that, but other people, if you have these muted swans on your land and you don't want them to be touched, the USDA isn't gonna pop out there onto your private property without your permission. So, with that said, we're gonna move on to another subject. All right, so community events. We've had some great past events in the last number of months. I'm just gonna high level cover. We have Earth Day cleanup event, and on 4/20 and 4/21, a number of residents gathered, and they collected a bunch of garbage. We did have a few board members and a few private residents come out. We donned some waders, we went into a few of the reserves and pulled out about 20 giant bags of trash throughout the entire, not only on the reserves, but we also did the streets. So we cleaned Beaver Dam Lake streets, and it was all coordinated that items of refuse would be picked up immediately the same week by Cornwall Refuse and by New Windsor. Compliance was 100%. And while we would have loved to see more people jump out there, and we could have made even more of an impact, it still was a very successful event, and we definitely made a huge impact, okay? Reserve number 1, there was additional leaf removal that was performed at request. The landscaper came out and he did a quick, great cleanup of Reserve One to prevent some fall leaves from going into the lake and causing us more added nutrients, which we don't need. Book club, we do still have the book club going on. We're not really holding the book club always at the community building. And a lot of people have found that the book club is very successful if it's held at a private home, but we do have the book club it's not a board event, but Leah Matthews does run the book club and they are rotating every month with a great book. And on the third Wednesday of the month, there is something going on at somebody's house. Future events, all right, we have the community yard sale. This is an item that is requested by many people. Not something that I'm going to participate in, but Chrissy Wilbur, a resident, has volunteered to run this event as a resident volunteer. May 18th, May 19th, rain or shine. There are documents that are available also on the Facebook page by residents. Or if you email the board, we will get you on the list and get you in touch with Chrissy Wilbur, who is running this as a favor for everybody. So currently, I believe we have 40+ resident homes. It could be more at this point. The A-frames will be out shortly as soon as the map is finalized, which will be finalized on May 12th. All right, A-frames will have maps attached to them. We'll have some maps at the community building for those who wanna partake and run around the neighborhood and check out what's going on with the yard sale. We do have, yes, Jason?
Yes, we need to rope off the reserves during those community days.
Yes, so we will rope off and close the reserves because we don't wanna invite unwanted trespassing. People are gonna come into the community based upon the fact we have this yard sale going on for the entire area, and that's gonna draw people who are not part of the private residence community, yes.
So note about that, when we do that, we must put up a sign that says the word closed.
Okay,
So that's just a bylaw or local law, it's a local law 8 thing. So if we're gonna close it at any time, outside of the dawn dusk time, we're supposed to have a sign up front that says closed, and if we do that, we're
okay,
fine.
Fred?
What were the dates of the yard sale?
May 18th and May 19th. I
So
believe
it's
it's 9 to
So
2.
it's a 2-day sale?
It's Saturday and Sunday, as it has been every year,
There was one day.
every year, but we always get rain,
Rain day.
it's
Oh, it's a
constant.
rain day.
No, they'll both be running both days.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so
Okay.
chances are, because some people don't.
Some people just turn it into their own private
Yeah,
event,
they
they
just
do
keep
the
it
next
going.
day.
So
Yeah.
it's in 2 days, you participate one day if you want, participate the other.
Sure.
If people go by and you don't have things set up, they're gonna be on their way. Right? So we do have a craft event that's coming up tomorrow. We're gonna do painting of wine glasses here, not full wine glasses,
Oh, man.
but hand painting. Leah has,
Gonna hand paint
Leah has volunteered to run a painting class. And it will be at no cost to any resident. You bring your own wine glass and you can bring a smock if you're that sloppy. We have the paints, we have the supplies for you. Comedy show, believe it or not, we have a comedian and he was very interested in doing something I told to him months ago. His name is Ryan Dalton. He's arranged to have 2 other comedians come. That's May 10th, 7:30 p.m. We tried to tell him to keep it to be an adult show, a kid-friendly show in case people show up. And hopefully they'll respect that. So the comedy show will be free. Of course, they are volunteering their time. And these guys do, Ryan is actually a comedian and a boxer. So he does
Wow.
online.
Don't heckle.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting thing. It's Ryan Dalton. And we'll get that information out. Also, we're gonna have a painting class with an instructor coming here. We'll provide you with a easel and the paints as a courtesy. And this is based upon donations that we received from various events that we've held. So we're keeping it out so that you don't have to pay for the events. Music by the Lake, that's every second Saturday from May until September. Currently, we don't have anybody volunteering to do our second Saturday from Music by the Lake. So unfortunately, we're gonna call the comedian the Music by the Lake. It'll be on 5/10, okay? So get the word out there, obviously, the more people that show up, the better. And again, help out, volunteer, be part of it. We'd love to have you. It's fun. Just another reason to use this fantastic building. It's all covered.
Yeah, the music on the lake is actually a really nice feature last year. It kind of popped up and, there was a couple of nights where just whether it was vocalists or instrumental, it was a very nice event. Yeah, kind of makes me just think about, you know, being a resident as to why you would want to even be on this board, or, you know, or just come to these events in general. You know, a lot of us do things on our own time. Many people don't even participate, and that's fine. But we've had some events where we've had over 100 people come, and it's always great to see. And I think it's taken for granted, or maybe it's not, it's just underutilized. If more people came, I think they would see. We do really live in a well-rounded, dynamic community. And, it's nice to come out and meet your neighbors. As a resident, I bought in a little bit more to that in the last few years, and it's been nice to see.
Get to know your neighbors, new people coming in constantly,
And I heard Walter Bloss is the opening for the comic.
potentially, who knows? Who knows?
How great is that?
So we appreciate you, and we hope that you'll get involved and enjoy it if you have other
Mr.
ideas.
Dry humor.
I've had a couple of community volunteers who have really stepped to the plate, Rachel and Billy and a few other, Leah's always doing a great job. Can't be done alone, so if you want, throw your name in the hat, we would love to have you. And there's just certain rules and regulations we have to follow.
Yeah.
Has to be to the public, et cetera, but we can discuss that, or your ideas forward, thank you.
So speaking of rules and regulations, before we go to the resident forum, just board member comments, I'm just gonna use mine real quick. You know, this summer, I think one of the things you're gonna start hearing more about in some of our meetings, when I say summer, I mean through September too, is, stating more of the rules and regulations. Local law 8 is the governing set of laws, not policies, that shape the things that happen here, especially when we go into the boat reform. And so you're going to hear that, more. Okay, with that, this 8-page agenda was created by the board. One of the things that I kind of taking pride on, and I'll be honest with everybody in this room, it's nice to have a collaborative, you know, feel. So I'm not gonna lie, being a teacher and very busy and parent, you know, I work very hard doing this. It's something I'm taking pride in and doing. I've set very good examples from Eric Dahl and Walter Bloss. So I really hope Wally stays around because he's really a great value to us. But this 8-page agenda could have been a 16-page agenda. People understood how much that actually goes on around here with a purely unpaid, nonpartisan board that has nothing to do with legislature. You would be shocked. And, you know, occasionally when somebody speaks up and has a problem with what we do, I'm just gonna let you know right now that my answer is going to be, come join us, please. And you can find out, and then you can be informed, because when you don't have informed statements, come learn. All right, that's my statement.
Anyone claim the dock?
Nobody claimed the dock, so I don't know if it's gonna go into the Chris Dunn summer burn, but I do have a stream across, so if nobody claims that little, I think it's a gangway, I don't even know if it's a dock, it didn't have any pontoons or anything, or floats on it. But, I have a very flooded yard and I have an area which stream runs through, so who knows, you might find it, if you wanna come get it in the middle of summer and you realize it's yours, you can have it, but. Right now, that dock we found is currently at Kevin Boyle's house on his dock down by the dam, and, I guess it's gonna be relocated to my house soon. I'm the guy with the fountain, so if you wanna come by with your boat and get it, then that's it. All right, any other board member comments before we close the meeting? Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
Circling back to the C-SLAP reports, conductivity, I didn't get to speak on.
Oh, okay.
And which is, I think, important, being that I said that
Science.
the lake has pretty much stayed the same over the years, not always the case. So with conductivity, Beaver Dam Lake has increased over the past decade. What does this mean? It means our lake water is hard.
That's right.
From chloride, phosphates, nitrates, and other ions that enter the water body from weathering, human activity, rock salt, agriculture, wastewater, and we are higher than the average in the state. That's not good.
So, and I'll just throw my comment because this kind of rounds it all out, just so the viewers understand, is that if this board were to go away, this lake would be destroyed in a few years.
Yeah, so
Conductivity is
Turn into
also a
a-
factor.
So
of the
what does that
chlorophyll
mean?
level.
it means that
Oh,
development has been increasing over the last 10 years. And it hasn't been, so more developed lands means rainwater is not getting into the ground because it's going on roofs and running it off pavement and everything in the watershed goes downhill, which is our like rain gardens. Rain gardens.
it's gotta happen, it's going to happen, so it's going to happen. There's no reason why it shouldn't.
They don't have to only be at the reserves. You can do them on your own properties. So your roof and have runoff, you can have the runoff go into a little depression and then collect the water there.
Would a
I'm
dry
happy-
well, sorry, would a dry well also suffice? I mean, I know that's really like. an
That puts it into the
excavation.
groundwater.
Yeah, that's.
So if you have a really bad water issue, that could be a way to do that. But the purpose of a rain garden is to trap the nutrients. So if
And use them with like, an organism, to grow the plants.
we go into the plants and then if you go into the groundwater, then they're in the ground, it gets filtered to an extent, but they're still in the groundwater. Which would eventually slip, not as much as it would have overground.
Wonder if you could grow corn in a rain garden, because then when you take, you're pulling it out of the equation, right?
You know, it's interesting you mentioned that.
Corn sucks a lot of nutrients out of the ground.
Corn needs a lot of nitrogen. And it's funny you should, not that it's a serious issue, you're not gonna
So
grow
it's awesome.
corn on a rain garden, but
Yeah,
I was thinking more growing corn on a floating island. Which is, they may wanna ask AJ about it. No, that's not serious, but the floating island aspect about on your inlets
Mhm.
is something that, I've talked to Princeton Hydro about years ago.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that if we were to get a large DEC grant, that is on the list.
That
is-
works as a temperature reducer as well, because of the excess shade.
Yeah. There's a water bodies in the there's a lot of water bodies in the Great Lakes region that utilize these technologies.
So while like trees along the shore do put their leaves in the ground contributing to the nitrogen cycle. They also offer shade, which also cools the water, which lowers the amount of algae in there as well. So people that are clearing their shores completely of all vegetation and just having grass there are also contributing to that problem as well.
Great comments, great comments. Anybody else? Any residents? Oh, sorry,
Residents.
residents, we're in a very hollow room right now. Residents at home. Thank you, Eve Lincoln, thank you, sorry, Jason. I haven't looked by the screen. Eve Lincoln, thank you for all your amazing volunteer work, thank you. You too. Eve is also a valuable member of the community.
Guess that's it.
All right, we're good? Okay, we went way longer. This is now the longest that I know of, but I think we covered a lot. It didn't feel too dry. It was the energy that Wally brought. So resident comments, no? All right, do we have a motion to adjourn? Second,
I'll second.
Beaver,
Aye.
thank you. Have a good night, everybody. See you in June.
Good night.